the Rebels backfield is now heating up too, with 2 commitments on board. Jermichael Jones, the Pike Road, Alabama running back, is already on board, but the Rebels landed a long-time target and lean for Ole Miss on Sunday, and that is Damarius Yates, big-time running back out of Kemper County, a top 150 overall prospect for On3, one of the best players in Mississippi, committed to Ole Miss on Sunday over Alabama, Florida State, and the one-time Mississippi State commit. Did it on his official visit. I actually gave him a call Sunday morning and said, hey, do you want to catch up about your official visit? And he said, yeah, sure. So we start talking, and I said, well, how was your chat with Coach Kiffin? And he said, oh, I'm about to go talk with him. And I said, okay, all right, well, I'll let you go do your thing. I go, by the way, are you close to making a decision? And he goes, yeah, I think I'm close. I think I'm going to do it this week. And then he goes, maybe tomorrow. And then he goes, maybe today. I go, are you about to tell him you're committing? He goes, yeah, I am actually. And I said, well,
I appreciate the honesty.
I appreciate the honesty. I said, well, we'll keep it between us. Let you go do your thing and let Coach Kiffin get all excited about this one out of Kemper County. Because, man, I watched him at the Under Armour New Orleans camp, and physically one of the best looking running backs there in attendance in a really good group. And I think he's somebody that, can be that workhorse back for Ole Miss. And, he's still getting comfortable catching the football, but he's got the ability to, and he's got the understanding of route running from what I saw.
And look at him run away from defenders, just completely leaves them in the dust.
He's been running in the 10-9 since his sophomore year in track too. So he's got that top end speed that is more than sufficient for this level. And what I really like about him is that he wanted to go ahead and get this decision out of the way. He was committed to Mississippi State early on, but Ole Miss really sunk their teeth into this one and had him on campus a half dozen times, and they closed it down. He doesn't really give much away in recruiting. Like when we chatted in New Orleans, he saying, I don't really have any official visits planned, but here's where I want to go. And we learned about his official visit on that Friday. We broke the news at the Ole Miss Spirit, and we said, keep an eye on this one. And they're looking to get this done this weekend. And sure enough, they did.
It's a big get. And I love what Ole Miss is doing, not just with guys like that they're committing, such as running backs and skill players. But if you look at what they're going for, like with Corey Barber, here's a good example. First of all, coming from Spain Park, Ole Miss fan, do you remember Evan Swindoll? He also came from Spain Park. That clicked in my head when you said Spain Park. I was like, who do I remember from Spain Park? I didn't think it would lead me to Evan Swindoll, the former Ole Miss starting center, but yeah, that one popped into my brain. But if you look at it, Corey Barber is a good example of this. All of these players that we're talking about are a good example of this, because these are high school players that are going to come into a room that's not going to be completely turned over. Wide receiver, for example, you've got Caleb Odom, has multiple years of eligibility. You have, DeJon Stribling's going to be gone at the end of the year, probably Harrison Wallace too. But this roster was built to grow in and around Austin Simmons with guys, even transfers with multiple years of eligibility. And that's why you're seeing some high school, more of an emphasis on high school players, because what was new this offseason will be veterans and filling out the top end of those rooms starting next year. Yes, we believe that Ole Miss can compete next year with this roster, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of unknown, but a lot of upside as well. Deshaun Womack, the edge from LSU, he's got multiple years of eligibility that he's going to exercise here. Prince Will Uman Mielen, multiple years of eligibility to exercise here. And there's a lot of that everywhere. In the running back room, Keywan Lacey, multiple years of eligibility. Shakai Mills-Knight will be here in August or June, and he'll be participating in practices in August. Logan Diggs is gone after this year, but you're getting what I'm getting at here. That they're not going to be completely starting over, to where now that you could actually build it out with high school players, high-end upside guys, because you have that. I mean, it's kind of an old school way of doing things, because you've been allowed that through the way you've constructed your roster, right? You can go heavy on skill players, specifically in high school, and take more chances that you otherwise couldn't have taken this offseason, because you have to build out a roster that's got to play right now. This is more of take as many lottery tickets as you possibly can, including a Corey Barber, including a Tristan. I mean, you named off at least 4 or 5 guys at wide receiver alone, right? Yeah. Not to even factor in that they're going to portal next year. They're going to portal at wide receiver, especially if they lose DeJon Stribling, if they lose Harrison Wallace. You're not Caden Lee as a junior. There's an opportunity, a real opportunity, and they're going to go capitalize on it to go get some transfers. But mostly, this is a roster built for multiple years because that's where their contending window is. Where last year felt like the end of a phase, like, Marvel phase 1 or 2, right? Endgame ended a phase for the MCU. That ended a phase for Ole Miss. This is a new phase, right? Let's hope that their multiverse phase is better than Marvel's. I'm sorry, I saw Thunderbolts this weekend. It's had my brain churning. Let's hope that their phase 3, 4, 5 is better or more cohesive and coherent than the MCU's. But that's what I'm talking about, where last year they were getting guys to put the finishing touches on a title contender. They believe they can contend for the college football playoff, and I believe it too. Andy Staples, Brad and I talked about it on Friday, had Ole Miss at number 19 in his post-spring top 25 rankings, and that was before Ole Miss went and addressed real needs like in the defensive secondary, right? 19 is right on the fringe of the college football playoff discussion. You're talking about 8 wins, 9 wins. Who's to say Ole Miss can't be the South Carolina of this year, where last year they, quote, came out of nowhere and became a contender? Lenore Sellers and Austin Simmons could have a similar career arc to where now you're seeing Lenore Sellers being projected for the top 10 in the NFL draft next year. Ole Miss has that kind of potential, but you're starting to see the approach this year is a little bit different because of these multi-years of eligibility that's allowing them to cast a bigger net, a wider net, and take more chances in high school. How typically rosters were built, Ole Miss is using that formula. It's a little bit of an old school formula to build it out this year. So I just wanted to note that as you were talking about Corey Barber and Jace Matthews and Tristan Keys, all of these players that Ole Miss is not going to just be beholden to, okay, we got to get 1 or 2 guys committed. No, they want to take as many chances in high school and build it out that way, because the back end of the roster is a little shaky as far as what's coming next. Now, they were prepared with some returning guys after all of these guys left, like Walter Nolan, but they're second-year guys, right? They're second-year guys that are quite literally playing in their second year at Ole Miss and in the SEC, like Cam Franklin and Will Eccles. Next year, Deshaun Womack has already played in the SEC. Prince William Onmiellen's played in Nebraska, Power 5 football. I look forward to seeing guys like Ricky, what's his name, the cornerback from South Alabama, stepping into a higher level. He's got multiple years. Ricky Fletcher has multiple years of eligibility, and it's like this across the board. So this roster, what you're seeing and the build out of this roster is something you can see for multiple years, which is exciting. And also shows you that they are entering a different phase where we don't know as much about the knowns, but the outcomes, the range of outcomes are both scarier because of what the floor could be, but also there's an unlimited ceiling if these players pan out like you think they're going to pan out. So I think it's really cool how Ole Miss is building that, and you're starting to see this shift in philosophy from building out the roster last year to this year.